This episode is brought to you ad-free thanks to all of our wonderful patrons. You can get tons of exclusive content, including bonus episodes, warm-up audio, and early access to episodes, all while helping us keep the show going by joining at patreon.com/shonenflop.
Welcome to this episode of Shonen Flop, where we talk about manga and Shonen Jump that didn't make it big. I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
Next week, we'll be covering Dear Anemone, if you'd like to read along with us.
That's definitely how you pronounce that.
Go with the spiciest way of saying that word. Be sure to join the discussion in our Discord and submit your 6-word summary. You can find a link to the Discord in our episode description and on our website, shonenflop.com. But this week, we are talking about Psych House in the middle of the street, and we are joined by our guest, Solomon. Solomon, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Do you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Solomon. Generally, you find me as I'm King Solomander most places, but I stream a little bit and I host a One Piece watch-through/watch-along podcast with two of my best friends.
But we're not on it.
What's it called?
It is One Journey.
Ooh.
Very fun because I have a guy who watches anime, doesn't watch One Piece, and another guy who hates anime, so...
Do you record it with the anime out of context, guys?
Who do you think his two best friends are?
Sometimes I think so.
Until it's gonna be like, wait a second.
Wait a minute. Are you Dylan? And his voice just suddenly changes and it's Dylan.
My voice drops like 4 octaves.
You thought your guest was Solomon, but no, it was me, Dylan.
I also want to say this, Solomon, thank you so much for both being a patron and filling out the Be a Guest form. We always love to look through it, so we appreciate you wanting to be on the show, and we always try and find opportunities to have both people who are patrons and people who fill out that form on the show. With that in mind, I'd be curious, this is a shameless plug, what made you want to be a patron?
Honestly, I'm a patron to a couple of different things. I like to support just guys or anyone who I just tend to enjoy their content, really, as best I can.
Nothing special about us. Great job, David. Great job with trying to get this plug now.
No, I will say, I work 5 a.m. shifts, and whenever you guys have an episode that I haven't listened to, that 5 a.m., I'm like, this'll help.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
This is gonna keep me laughing through the morning.
Oh, well, we appreciate it. I guess the floppies are coming up. Is there anything you're really hoping for when's episode of the year that's coming out?
You guys have covered some bad shit this year.
Yeah, we really have, haven't we?
We have.
I mean, it's pretty much green sweep on the positive categories. Let's not really play any fucking games this year, right?
I was so sad when that got canceled.
I know.
I don't know if there's anything remotely challenging it this year.
I mean, what else is there? Mama Yu Yu or fucking the MMA manga?
The MMA one I actually really enjoyed too, though.
Yeah, I liked that, but it's like Grinker Greens is the only one where we were just flat out, no, this is good. But also, I almost wish that when David said Psych House, I already made this joke on Chainsaw Minute, but we just suddenly stopped and started talking about an episode of House.
Or Cory in the House.
I've never seen either one.
Well, that's my favorite anime.
There's something canceled about Cory in the House. Anime Out of Context removed mentions of it from their Patreon, so something happened where they took it off and they replaced it with the Joey Wheeler. This is Anime Out of Context heads can back me up. This is part of Cory in the House would definitely be a part of the Anime Out of Context iceberg, which is a reference to the Shonen Flop iceberg, which is, I will say, if you don't normally listen to warm-up audio, that was a very wild warm-up audio that we had.
It was pretty good.
That probably wins best warm-up audio if that was a category.
It might be worth maybe subscribing to the Patreon if you want to hear it.
Subtle, Jordan.
And remember,
it's a good thing to be subscribed to. They're funny usually.
Jordan is like that dude from whatchamacallit, Dark Place, where he was like, I know authors that use subtext and they're all cowards.
Yeah. You mean the main guy from Dark Place, Garth Marenghi?
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Fuck, I love that line.
Bloods, and bits of sick.
Anyway, let's get into actually talking about this manga. How does that sound?
Oh, man, but there's so much to talk about besides the manga. But I guess that's the premise of the show. Let's get into the manga details. Tucker says that the title is probably going for some kind of play on Psych, which is Saiku, and Cycle, Saikuru. So it's like a pun. And yeah, this is called Saiku Biori. That's the Japanese title. And Biori is likely a term for, as Tucker says, ideal weather, sort of maybe activity. And so apparently altogether, it sounds like a perfect day to go cycling.
How nice.
And also a perfect day for using our psychs.
Dude, we'll get into it, but the title of this series is kind of crazy in Japanese.
Yeah, he went through 20 fucking...
He made 20 different logos too for each idea he had.
Yeah, this guy tried really hard with like a shitload of different ideas, and this was apparently the best he could come up with.
Yeah, we actually did reach out to Jan, who was a prior guest in the official translator of the series, and she was like, they just told me to call it Psych House. So she was not involved in the decision. Though apparently the English name Psych House was one of the names they considered for the series in Japan.
Oh, well,
yeah.
Anyway, this is Psych House, and it was written by Omusuke Kobayashi. Other works include, well, this is his debut series, but they got a few one-shots, including Yamabiko no Nichijo, 2022, Weekly Shonen Jump, Hare Tokidoki Ame, 2022, Shonen Jump Plus, Ashita Akira no Tanagokoro, 2022, Weekly Shonen Jump, and Hoki no Karyudo, 2023, Weekly Shonen Jump. David, this one entered into the Golden Future Cup, but did not win. So this manga is not a result of the Golden Future Cup curse.
There we go.
No, it turns out that you can still
you can still suck shit.
Fail at manga even if you don't have the fucking curse.
Exactly.
Psych House ran from the 12th of May 2024 to the 8th of September 2024. It replaced Shadow Eliminators. Hey, we were talking about the floppies earlier and what series might win best series. Shadow Eliminators not gonna win best series.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
I'm definitely on board.
Yeah, but yeah, that was episode 111. The series that replaced this was Shinobi Undercover by Ippon Takaguchi and Santa Mitarashi. Same authors as Candy Flurry, apparently. David, what are your thoughts on it, David? Apparently you've read it.
I read it, and then I read like 2 chapters of it, and it was like, okay, this is the same thing over and over. And then I read another chapter, and I was confirmed, so I stopped reading.
But don't worry, I've kept reading it. It still keeps going the same exact thing.
And I was like, this is going to get canceled. I should probably stop reading it so we can cover it.
Series started at the same time as Psych House. Astro Royale, which is over 2 volumes, doing all right. Kyokuto Necromance. Hey, wait a minute. That series is also not going to win best series in the floppies. And that was, I believe, last episode.
Yeah.
But Psych House ran for 17 chapters. This is U19, baby. U19.
Yeah, and only 12 of them were the same chapter over again.
Yeah, may as well.
And then, so why don't we actually find out what happened in those 17 asterisk chapters? Let's get into the plot summary.
Kotone is a high school girl who has the ability to teleport herself and objects. Also, her dad left, her mom is in a coma, and she's poor. One day, she meets a kid named Suya who wears a bucket on his head and can make things bigger or smaller at will. He chases her down and tells her that these powers are called psychs and invites her to live at his psych house. With other psychics, I mean psych, not users, not psychics. That's different. Because she's too broke to afford food, she agrees. There she meets Kyoko, an alcoholic whose power is reading minds, Moa, a young girl whose power is creating copies of herself, and Kazu, whose power is being Moa's dad.
The best superpower, honestly.
Yeah. Fatherhood really is the best superpower.
Popcorn Jordan.
They kind of just dick around for 12 chapters. Popcorn David.
They stop an invisible guy stealing things from a jewelry store and hand him over to the psychic police in the first and arguably only act that hints at a potential plot. Yeah, I think this is only multi-part arc. Then Moa uses Kyoko's powers to read Kotone's Homa mom's mind, discovering she psyched herself into a coma using her dream psychic powers, which apparently
David,
we're all psychic.
Not psychic, David.
What?
There's
Just psych
powers.
Sorry, psych power, where she has the unique ability to see images while she sleeps. God, this is just like, I don't know if the offer literally says, pretty much says dreaming is a psychic power, and I'm like, no, it's really not.
Jesus Christ.
We're all psychs.
God, I've just destroyed any remaining fabrics of respect we had for the series. I've just now ruined. Kotone goes into her mind to find that her mom is replaying the last day she had with her husband and daughter together. But Kotone gets her to wake up, and it reminded me a lot of Family Deadly Sins, which was a much better series than this for the first 2 volumes.
Yeah.
So let's get into the characters. Solomon, can you tell us about Kotone?
So Kotone, our main character here, she has the psych for teleportation for anything that she touches.
By the way, you can read those notes, but those are just David's notes. You don't have to say it, just so you know. If you have anything else to say, you can totally say that.
He's listened to the pod. He fucking knows.
Yeah, but we don't say that on the pod, David.
I know this shit. I listened to the warm-up audio.
Okay.
I bet he reads the notes and cross-compares and sees what we didn't talk about.
I definitely do not read the notes. I'm too lazy to do that.
Yeah, no one fucking reads those notes. It's fine.
They're there if you want them.
I should put something where it's like, I'll send you a $50 bill if you find this and Discord me the code word.
I'll do it.
Well, now people know I'm going to do it, so now I can't.
We put it in a random episode's notes.
It all in my treasure in one place. But no one wants to read all those fucking show notes. Oh, and no one wants to read my recording notes.
Your shit's like 8 pages long, man.
Double, single spaced.
I think I did it like twice, and I went never again.
Oh, listeners can already tell how little interest we have in talking about this series.
But it's so interesting.
Back to Kotone. She has like a really hard life, but she is, by the way, like perfect in every way. She's smart. Yeah, like if you can imagine a perfect girl, it's Kotone, apparently.
If you can imagine somebody that the author wishes was his girlfriend, you would probably imagine Kotone.
Yeah.
Because it's like, she's just so smart and cool and pretty and nice, clever, not materialistic either. And dang, she got them proportions, if you know what I mean.
There's one chapter they just really aggressively sexualize her in the shower.
Yeah.
She has insane thigh highs.
All throughout the series.
Yeah, it's like weirdly part of the school uniform, but only for her.
Yeah, what school uniform would say, oh, we need you to have stockings that high?
But like not high enough.
Well, it's a concept of Japanese term. It's like, what is it, the favored place or something? There's a Japanese term for that space between the end of the stocking and the skirt.
Interesting.
I feel like I've heard that, yeah.
I'm going to look this up. Someone will respond in the comments about what term I'm thinking of. Yeah, there's not much more to add.
No.
There's not much more to add.
I guess it is nice that there's a female protagonist, because I thought Suya was the main protagonist, and clearly he isn't.
I mean, I guess she's the POV. Is there a protagonist? I suppose she is. I guess she is.
Yeah.
But Jordan, why don't you tell us about Suya?
He's a kid with the power to make things grow, and he wears a bucket on his head, and he's kind of dumb. I don't know. Do you want anything else? He wears the same outfit every day.
By the way, the term is Zatai Ryoiki, which means absolute territory.
Interesting.
What, is that like absolute territory fields?
That's just the term between the end of the stocking and the start of the skirt. And there's a lot of reference images on the Wikipedia page.
You say that and I just hear Evangelion's music.
Maybe it was inspired by this.
It's the AT film.
They have a diagram and everything. This is a very robust Wikipedia page.
Oh god.
Anyway, yeah, so he's a psychic kid. He can, as you say, he can grow. I think about 90% of the chapters in this manga just end with Suya doing something wacky with his powers, and that's like the whole point of the chapter.
Yeah, he's like the problem solver of the manga.
That's arguably the whole point of the manga.
It's very hard to have conflict in a series where everyone has very powerful psychic abilities.
Was that serious? Because I feel like it's the opposite. I feel like you have to try hard to do that, actually.
It's like Kotone literally, to circle back to her, was like, they were doing a tennis tournament where you had to use your psychic powers. And she's like, I can't because it just breaks this entire tournament because I have teleportation.
They did this with like multiple games. And each time it was like Kotone was like, oh, wait, I would either break this or my power is useless. And it's just like, well, then why did you put that in there, author? You didn't have to have them play games where their powers were unusable. Like,
yeah. Do we even want to talk about any of the other characters? They're just kind of there.
You got the drunk psychic girl and
the duplication girl genius.
The duplication girl genius.
The, genius girl. And then dad.
And the guy's power is to be a reliable father in a manga.
The dad, yeah.
All right, speaking of fathers, let's get into why it fit. It's so fun, such a shit thing to say. Oh, he unsubscribes as a patron. It's fine. Let's get into it. So tell us more, Jordan. What were some things this series didn't do so well?
You know, David, it's amazing. It's to read a manga that's only filler.
Yeah, no killer.
Nothing happened. It's so funny because I read all these people, and we were struggling with this too. Where we like, is this a gag manga? Is this slice of life? And the reason why we're asking these questions is because I think we are desperately trying to figure out who the fuck this manga is for.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's not obviously atrocious in the way that a lot of other things are. It's just boring as fuck.
I don't really know who this manga was for.
The way I took actually that might be too positive. I should save that. It feels like it's in the wrong place, and just nothing. There's nothing here. It's not for a binge read for sure.
On one hand, yeah, maybe it shouldn't have been in this magazine, but even if it was in the magazine where this kind of thing goes, it's still a shitty version of what it's trying to do.
Yeah.
These characters are not interesting.
Kotone's the only one who has any hint of character development. Tsuya literally goes through absolutely no adversity, or we learn pretty much nothing about any of these characters' backstories.
Absolutely nothing. I mean, I guess the psychic girl is like, oh, yeah, I cheated at cards and I won. But actually, no, David, actually, she only cheated to catch the cheaters. Shut the fuck, like, she's like Dexter for poker. Shut the fuck up.
And then the art is just kind of okay. I get the job done. I went,
sometimes, and then it's bad other times.
yeah. I think it's honestly like the artist I think is fine, but I just don't like the art style. It's just kind of a sloppy art style, you know?
It goes back and forth. I don't know. I feel like the artist fucks up a lot. Like, I feel like things go off model quite a bit sometimes.
Yeah.
There are series where you can be off model. I don't think this was one, though.
No, and
yeah.
Oh my god, the sudden sexualization. Like, the first couple chapters, it's like, I don't know. I kind of sensed that something was gonna happen just because of the way that, like, Kotone was drawn with, like, the proportions and, of course, like, the thigh highs. But I was like, you know, I don't know about that. And then it just has a shower scene.
Yeah, that shower scene was super weird.
It was super fucking weird. First of all, it also recontextualizes the fact that Tsuya's ability is to make things and people large and small. Like, the moment when he shrunk her dresser and she was like, oh no, now my underwear is too small.
Yeah, and again, it's like, I guess it's like a thing, right? It's like, it's not really, this makes you laugh. You're just like, I guess that's silly.
I guess. Yeah. And along with that, it was also really annoying how Kotone kept fucking talking about how, oh no, am I getting fat? Oh my god, I think I'm getting fat.
There was literally like 4 or 5 chapters where that was like part of the plot.
Yeah, and I feel like every time it was just Tsuya making things smaller.
Yeah, and there's so many interesting applications of their psychic powers that they offer. Sometimes they'll be like, I know I can do interesting things with this, and then they just phone it in for 90% of the series, and it's the same application of their powers every time.
Yeah, I said like, oh, they kind of dig around for 12 chapters. They really do. It just really feels like the same chapter over and over again. There were times where I was like, wait, didn't I just read this? Like, it's seriously an unbelievably redundant manga. Like, the author didn't know who this manga was for. The author didn't know what was gonna happen in this manga, because nothing happened. The author never found out.
Also, how old are these characters? Because it seems like Tsuya is like 10 years old, but why is he in high school classes?
I don't think he's 10 years old. I just think he wears like oversized clothes and is stupid.
They even have a thing about how he can make his clothes exactly fit him.
But he just chooses not to blatantly. Like,
yeah, like they have the like chapter where like they go shopping and he's just bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bucket. He wears like his school clothes to sleep, and like he only has one set of clothes. It's like that joke from Doug where they go into his closet and it's just the same thing over and over again. It's like that, except not as good as Doug.
Yeah, oh, Doug. The Komamon plot is super weird where they have like this very serious plot in the background.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is up with that? Why didn't they just say she's like living abroad or her mom's like working abroad or something?
Yeah, the Coma Mom thing was just very weird, and there's like a hint that they're gonna deal with a girl who's been going through abject poverty. That could have been a way to bring in some kind of drama or conflict, like this girl who's been literally having to steal, like, food. Also, why would a girl who is starving so much she has to steal from food give a shit about getting a little fat and talking about going on a diet? Like,
well, I mean, part of that is food quality, where your poor kind of circles back where you can't get proper nutrition.
But it sounded like she wasn't able to eat much at all. I mean, I'm aware of, like, the food quality thing, but it's like...
Also, with her power, she could steal healthy food.
Yeah, she also could make money very easily with her power. Imagine if she was the fastest stalker at any job she worked. Like, imagine how she trivializes manual labor.
I thought you said stalker, like stalking. Like...
She could stock the shelves at a convenience store in like 20 minutes. Because here's the thing as well, is the world seems like they're cool with the psychic powers. No one makes a big thing. So she could just openly use her powers for commercial purposes and be fine, it seems.
Apparently nobody knows about them until suddenly the cops show up and they have like anti-psych gloves.
Well, that wasn't like the regular cops, because the regular cops didn't believe like the convenience store lady or the jewel lady about the invisible guy. But like there's like psych police, like a special police force type thing.
Psych, it's the police.
Yeah, I just the setting of this world doesn't even make sense, and it's such a simple setting. How do you like not even have internal consistency when there's all like 5 things to keep track of?
Right. This is not complicated. Anytime the series is approaching potential conflict, it's like, nah. Anytime the series is approaching any like potential moral questions, like I keep coming back to how the mind reading girl was like, yeah, I cheated at poker, but I only cheated against people who were cheating.
I was going to say this from Miscellaneous Fault, but it kind of reminds me of Graduation from the Adventure Zone, where it's like everyone, even the evil people, have their like evilness justified. It was like they're doing abinals and they were talking about swindlers, but he explicitly is like, oh, but the swindlers swindle each other equally, so it all works out in the end. And it's like, why? Just make people be bad. You don't have to justify every single fucking thing.
Man, I'm glad I stopped listening to the Adventure Zone after the first one.
Yeah, I heard abinals is really fucking bad. Man, I remember when Taz was good.
It was good.
Just like how I remember how this manga has some good parts. So why don't we get into the positives?
Yeah.
All right, Solomon, what did you like about this?
I actually enjoyed a little bit of it for like the found families type stuff. I'm always a sucker for that, like any found family type thing, because sometimes your like normal family life is a little rough. So I enjoy that, really.
Haha, I don't know anything about that.
You mean that transition where it said, speaking of fathers, let's talk about failure?
Yeah.
See, we got Dad. Dad was good.
Dad was good.
Yeah.
Dad was good. He was just Dad, but he was good.
You know what? That's the most effective power in the manga, actually.
Yeah, him being a good dad, honestly, was half the time, because I did read this week to week as it got released, and I'd be like, what's Dad doing?
Yeah. Kind of the most interesting character. Not even kind of, just he is, because it's like, he is by definition not special, kind of.
Which then makes him special because everyone else is, yeah.
Yeah.
And he actually had some kind of responsibility, and yeah, there was something there that nobody else had. And it wasn't that much. Like, he's not that great of a character, to be clear. It's by comparison, he's a little bit better. I actually really liked the joke where House is like has a big plant growing out of it, and it's like, oh, there's a 24-hour live stream of the house.
Yeah, the neighbor across the street.
Yeah.
We switch it, and he's like, wait. There's like immediately a comment like, did it just change?
The giant bee comes flying off of it.
Yeah, the giant bee is pretty good.
Can't have conflict because he accounted for the giant bee scenario.
I was like, oh, is this almost a plot where they have to go get the giant bee? No.
And they just have a giant bee hanging out.
As soon as the giant bee leaves the flower, it turns back into a normal size bee.
Which, like, how does your power work? Anyway, positive. I will say at the very least, it's nice that this was a very quick read. Did not stress. This was not too on ice where I was having Hunter x Hunter flashbacks. I got through, I think, this whole series in maybe 45 minutes, which is what you want out of.
I did not.
You're right. You spent so much time on the plot summary.
Yeah, but I had to push myself to get through this manga because I was just so fucking bored. Like,
Yeah.
Because yes, David, you're right. There was no plot. Exactly, that's the problem. Nothing was pulling me through. Anyway, this is what it did well.
I got another one for what it did well.
Go for it.
So I'll say, like, since I read this week to week, I will say it was a nice little read to have on Shonen Jump to break things up with how serious some of the other Jump series can tend to be. They'd be like, all right, I've gone through a couple of serious ones. Let me just get a little chuckle in and then go back to the serious things. So it's a nice little, like, break from those.
I respect that this series was trying to do kind of its own thing in Shonen Jump. I do. I respect that.
Yeah, this had the bones of a cool idea because, like, a sci-fi slice of life is just, it's fun, right? That's like a fun idea where it's like, there have been other psychic comedies. What was the one in Shonen Jump that had to do with a psychic that was really big? It was like Psych or something.
There's Psyche K, I guess.
Yeah, that one. Like, having a twist and slice of life is cool, and that's kind of the worst part about this is, like, this could have been a fun idea.
Yeah.
Which also shows how little positive I have where that really should have been in the where it could have gone section. But I want to say at least it tried something novel, even if its execution wasn't good.
Yeah. I guess. I don't.
And at least they had one bad guy with psychic powers. We didn't think that would ever happen.
I guess he was a bad guy, technically. He was, wasn't he?
There was a 2-chapter arc.
A 2-chapter arc with one bad guy.
Oh, what a chapter. Invisibility.
Jesus Christ. Which, by the way, you know that if that manga went on for 5 more chapters, he was going to join the Psych House.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh, no doubt. Maybe he was there and he was invisible the whole time.
Oh my god, yeah.
I wouldn't even mention the, what was he, the trash panda.
Oh, yeah, what the fuck was up with...
Oh my god, right, I totally fucking forgot. They had a fucking raccoon dog who could talk.
Then that was his psych, was that he could speak.
All right, we need to get into where it could have gone. This has nothing to do with positives. And I even forgot to write the plug. So before we get into where it could have gone, if you've been enjoying the show, we'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the Shonen Flop YouTube. We're trying to hit our goal of 1,500 YouTube subs. And if we do it, we're going to do a bonus episode on the Bill King epilogue. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much.
I got you.
And then on that note, just really you had to play more into how psychic powers can just fit into life. You needed to have some sort of backstory that this was contributing. It doesn't have to be full-fledged, but like take for instance High School Family. That's a fun slice of life about a very strange back setting, but they make it work. For those who don't know, High School Family, we've covered it on Shonen Flop. It's about a boy who starts high school and his entire family, including his mom, dad, 8-year-old sister, and cat, all enroll in high school with him.
His cat is magical. His cat is wonderful.
It manages to have a plot, has a lot of fun, and so it shows that that kind of absurdist slice of life comedy can absolutely work.
David, all I want is conflict. Just give me some conflict, okay? Like, make it so that not everybody is super fucking nice. You just moved in to, and you now have like a bunch of roommates. Nothing's happening between you guys. It all just works out wonderfully.
Yeah, everyone gets along great.
Everyone gets along great? Come on, I want some conflict. It doesn't have to be like violent. It doesn't have to be fighting, but like something. Have some kind of personalities clash.
They could have met the psychic that put her mom in a coma.
Well, no, her mom did.
Her mom put herself in the coma. Yeah.
Well, that's what I mean is like, it wasn't like they couldn't even have a bad person responsible for that.
Exactly. Nobody's evil in this world.
There just needs to be bad. There's bad in the world, and you need a little bit of it to drive a story forward.
It's like the series is set up as if it's some kind of fish out of water, but it ends up being taking a fish and putting it in water. And then it's just like, okay, well then we're just watching a fish in water. Great, cool.
Yeah.
You have this girl whose mom is in a coma, who is poor, broke, has had to live by herself, can barely afford to eat, has to steal for food. Doesn't this girl have trauma? Wouldn't she react suddenly to suddenly having stability like this? Wouldn't that create a different situation from how she acts from everybody else? Like, no, it doesn't apparently. She goes on a fucking shopping spree.
Yeah, she's just so completely fine.
She's fine.
She has no bad habits at all.
Nothing. She's fine. She's fine.
I'm just imagining if the series had done like a 180 and it got really intense and really played with these instead of being bullshit slice of life that didn't make any sense.
God, like, again, I'm not asking for like super brutal conflict. I'm asking for something.
Yeah, you can have mild conflict. That is fine.
Ruri Dragon's great.
Ruri Dragon's fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll get into Ruri Dragon.
Like the only thing I can think of is like they could have easily gone the route which they kind of did with the invisibility guy of introducing people with other psychs who are doing bad things and how she clearly was conflicted because she had done a bad thing. Run with that.
But she's fine. She's fine. And like her bad thing is like shoplifting a rice ball because she can't eat. Even when the fucking person who runs like the convenience store finds out, he's not even mad at her. He wants to help her and he's like, I'll give them to you for free. Like, no, she actually didn't really do anything wrong, honestly.
That would have been a great spot for her to be a convenience store worker. Hey, you can pay those off by working for me.
Yeah.
Bam.
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't do that. Imagine like working at a convenience store with psychic power. Someone's like, oh, hey, where are the towels? She could literally just be like, well, I stocked them and then teleport them there. And they're like, whoa, you know? And that's how she like makes friends. She had those like normie friends that didn't matter at all. And I think the author forgot about them and brought them back for like a chapter.
You just reminded me that they existed.
Yeah.
I think it is so funny that I forgot that raccoon dog existed because that guy shows up and then he's part of the group for the rest of the manga. And I just completely forgot that he existed.
But is he really part of the group?
No. He did have that zoo chapter where he just complains about being the only frilly animal at the zoo.
Right, yeah. Listener, you may be hearing us say these things and you're like, well, you know, it sounds like a lot happens in this manga. Nothing happens in this. Nothing happens in this manga.
It has the sin of being boring.
Yes, and that's why I think we're really struggling. I mean, essentially this series just needed to be about a girl who discovers like kind of a found family in a way that the series didn't represent. And really the conflict of how do you have such a hard life scraping by, literally not having parents is very traumatic and she doesn't seem to really care.
This series, beyond just conflict, this series could have been very sweet. You could have had it like that.
Yeah.
But it didn't. Again, the issue is, it's like you read this and I'm like, who is this series for? Why does I read this series? What is happening here? Like, who cares about anything that is happening?
Yeah, who cares about anything? And I also don't care about the series anymore, so let's get into miscellaneous thoughts. I guess, like, this is kind of like, what if Yotsuba was psychic? Though I do... Yotsuba is great. Also, shout out to Flying Witch, which is another, like, slice of life, but the people have witch powers. This is unrelated, but my friend needed help naming their podcast about Gilmore Girls, and I was like, oh, you could dress up like witches and call it Grimoire Girls.
Did they like that?
They were mad that they didn't think of that. Fuck, just kill me now that didn't hit. Anyway, yeah. But yeah, I just, like, there's so many things in this space. Like, you're right. Ruri Dragon just eats this series lunch. Like, I don't think they would have printed this if Ruri Dragon was still in Shonen Jump.
Oh man, Ruri Dragon's great.
Ruri Dragon, fantastic.
But it's also like there isn't like so much outward conflict in that. It's just kind of it's interesting.
Yeah, it's because it feels like real problems, though.
It feels like real problems.
And there is conflict. Like, one girl, she has to deal with another girl in her class actively hating her.
Yeah, it's being a high school girl with a weird power.
Yeah.
That's what a slice of life is supposed to be. It doesn't mean there's not conflict. It might mean there's not violent conflict. It's everyday conflict, you know? Everyday things happen that create conflict and stuff. And then none of them happen here. This fucking nothing happens here. This is nothing.
Yeah, it's a manga about nothing.
It's a manga about nothing.
We also haven't talked about Witch Watch, which is probably the most explicitly this idea done better.
But again, the thing is, Witch Watch not only has a plot, Witch Watch also is an actual gag manga. This is not a gag manga. This is not funny. Like, oh god, it's not even like trying to be. It's
Jordan's getting mad.
It's trying to be like cute, and it's like fine. Like, it's not. It's like God.
Jordan's so mad.
I'm so mad.
I don't know if we're doing biggest waste of time this year in the floppies, but this is winning that.
How dare you compare this to Witch Watch?
I'm just saying that I don't actually know how this was printable in the same magazine as Witch Watch, because what does this do that you don't get from reading Witch Watch? Solomon, have you read Witch Watch?
I am about 50 chapters in.
Isn't Witch Watch fucking awesome?
A lot of text sometimes, but I do enjoy it.
But that's the point. You know what you're getting into with that series.
No, it's quite good. I enjoy it way more than I enjoyed this, so...
Yeah, it's like, I want to see a reason to read this, because otherwise, it really is just like, this girl goes to live in a house, and they got powers.
And isn't that wacky?
Isn't that fucking wacky?
And everything goes great.
Yeah, it's all good now. And it's like, well, okay, fine.
I also thought it's weird they can mention the movie WALL-E, but they can't say YouTube.
Yeah, they do say WALL-E. They say we're gonna watch WALL-E. Like...
And then I have a question for you guys. What is the psychic power you were most surprised didn't show up?
Probably flying or super strength. I'd say they're so common and easy to use.
That's true. That's a good one.
Turning into animals? I mean, I thought that's what the raccoon dog was gonna do, but nope.
Did you guys realize no one actually has telekinesis?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
She can teleport, but she can't actually move things without teleporting.
Yeah.
So it's like, what the fuck? That's like that is the psychic power when you think of psychic powers, right?
Well, David, they're not psychic powers. They're psychs.
You're right. Fucking, I hate this. I hate this series. So anyway, do you guys have any other miscellaneous thoughts?
I could go into MaxyBee's thoughts because I don't have anything else.
Okay, if you want to read them off, be my guest.
All right, so this guy's like favorite manga include like Leveling and Golden Kamuy, and David really likes Yotsuba.
Yeah, it's very apparent.
As we mentioned earlier, this guy came out with like 50 fucking titles for this series, had a designer make almost 20 goddamn logo designs, and had a whole 3D model of the house made with like these complex schematics with like, and it had like a ton of rejected cover designs. He tried so hard and none of it, like you can't see like any of the effort in this series.
Well, he spent so much time on pre-production that he didn't use. It's like one of those video games where it's like they spent like the first year and scrapped and then just stapled something together in the last like 8 months they had.
This information shocks me.
Yeah, right?
This is the Halo 2 of manga.
This is like the original design document for like Quake, where it was gonna be like this super complicated RPG. It was good. They were gonna make Daikatana, and then they were just like, "Fuck it, let's just make Doom in 3D," and they did. But yeah, apparently the volume title includes those 49 alternate titles and 18 fucking logo designs, like just all this shit. But yeah, and then the translator Jan Cash told us that a lot of the characters have like these interesting things going on with their their names. Because again, the author spent a shitload of time writing the Bible for this series, including Nemuru, Suya, whose name means to sleep, and he's sleeping all the fucking time. Suya is the onomatopoeia for sleeping. And Moa's name is more in English. That's how you pronounce that.
Yeah.
Which, you know, she's the girl who creates more of herself. And her father's name, Kazu, can mean number. And their last name is Nanba, which is how you pronounce number. Huh? Get it?
So funny.
Oh man, God, it's like you put all your effort in the wrong places, my guy.
Yeah, I don't even know. And the big thank you from Jan Cash for getting to us. It's really
Thank you so much, Jan.
super cool. We had that last time. I think our last episode, we also had David Evelyn give us trivia. So whenever we cover a professional translated series, we will try, if they've been a guest on the show, to see if they can send us any notes.
Yeah.
That's a really cool treat that they were able to get us some additional trivia. And you know what else is a really interesting treat for our listeners, everyone?
And what's that?
The final verdict.
Yeah.
This is definitely our 80% speedrun episode. All right, so let's get into it. To it with the 6-word summaries from the community from Tucker. It never goes beyond the pale. Oh, that's a really good one. MaxyBee, this house is not a home. 090Z truly was the house of mid. Artil, a manga about nothing with superpowers. Or a paladin, superhero manga outlives My Hero Academia. Not clickbait. Balf, there's no crime worse than shoplifting. Blamumu, lots of fluff, not much else. Chicken Warlord, never got to its bucket list. CT3LA, couldn't teleport to an interesting character. Dackerson, my psychic power is speed reading. Diego, enter the Mickey Mouse Psych House. Doogie, I already got Buckethead on Spotify. That one's for you, Jordan.
Yeah, by the way, David, in 2015, Buckethead released 119 albums.
Oh yeah, he's crazy.
He's crazy.
That's his psych.
What?
I'm not joking, man. Look it up.
Yeah. Dude rocks. Good manga in the wrong magazine. Funky Green Overdrive. You want an actual plot? Psych. That's the wrong manga. Oh, super hot fire. That was one of our cover arts. Glornak Iron Spawn. With great power comes great disappointment. Grey Potter as sweet and vacus? I don't even know what these fucking words are.
As sweet and vacuous as saccharin.
Okay, there you go. Isekai Sensei, why can't we have nice things? And JRPG, astrologist, whiffed sure, but was never great. And then Jordan, I'm going to pass it to you because we had a fuck ton this week.
Jesus. Psych House was truly a home. So, take that, MaxyBee. Lord Anubis, insert obligatory super hot fire reference here.
Oh yeah.
Luffy 0321. So dull. Readers went comatose too. Portal Man, manga's not getting a second Genesis. Resident Warhammer nerd. Psych. I'm not participating this time. Savia, so laid back it's almost comatose. Spubby, you expected a long runner? Psych! Alternately, you expected a long runner, but it was Dio. Spike,
no.
This Psych House has no foundation. T. Wolfwood, cute, sweet, short, not great. Thors, should have teleported to another publisher. Watchtower, another U19 already? Please say Psych. Xylon, Gil gets axed. Psych gets Psych. Yellow Cup, Psych. All a waste of time. Elysian, teleport me away from Psych House. How about you, David?
House in need of a magazine rehome.
Yeah.
How about you, Jordan?
Really is nothing but filler.
And Solomon?
I had two. My first one that I had was Cute Family for a different magazine.
Yeah.
And then Cool Powers and Interesting Plot. Psych.
Hey!
Oh, got him.
Dang. Boom.
And,
not.
Yeah. And also, I think this was not a flop. Psych. This sucked. Fucking. Does anyone think this is a certified flop?
It's certified for me.
How about you, Solomon?
I definitely don't read as many bad things as you guys. I'd probably say it's a certified flop.
There we go.
Here's the thing. I think I mentioned in the last episode, I have a new rubric for determining if something is a certified flop or not. How would you respond to somebody telling you to read the series?
Why'd you waste my time?
Exactly. Why would you waste my fucking time? And that's kind of how I feel. This series wasted my time. If I read a series and feel nothing except, why did I read this series? That is a certified flop for me. That is absolutely that dog.
Yeah, so let's talk Rex. I mean, there's so many things to recommend. Could say, let's read Yotsuba, let's read Rory Dragon, let's read Witch Watch. Pick one of those. Any of them. They're all way better than this.
I pick X-Men.
Oh, actually, I have another series, X-Men. I don't know what its English name is, but it's Dory Elf, no, a bunch. So it's essentially about
David,
a single dad.
I'm gonna find that series now. Thank you so much for telling me about.
Just look up cute elf girl baby mom, or I don't know. Someone can post in the comments what name the series, but essentially it's about a warrior who comes across an orphan elf and is like, whoa, that's a high elf, not a normal elf. That's really special. I need to take care of her. And it's all about him learning to be a single father in a fantasy world.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, you're like, oh, that does actually sound cute. Yeah, so that's my rec, along with other much better series that are literally this but done better. Jordan, what's your rec?
X-Men?
Fuck,
X-Men 97. Check it
there,
out.
Okay, that's
good.
Yeah, that's a good
there
one.
You go.
Solomon, Solomon, what's your rec?
I would say probably Witch Hat Atelier.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. That's a very good rec. Good rec.
That's like found family right there.
I love it. All right, and then Jordan, I think this isn't even close to being the worst thing we've ever read. This is pretty high up actually on the certified flop list.
It's just so unbelievably mid.
It's just boring.
Yep. Is that your 6-word summary?
Well, my 6-word summary.
It's just so unbelievably mid.
That's my second 6-word summary. Whatever.
Close enough.
It's just so unbelievably. It's just so unbelievably fucking mid. How about that? Anytime I'm only 5,
there you go.
I just add in fucking somewhere.
Or wow.
Yeah. Wow. It's just.
Yeah. All right. So, shall we get into wrap up?
Yeah.
So, Solomon, thank you so much for joining us today in this speedrun adventure. Where can people get more of you using all that precious time they saved by how short this episode was because we just had nothing to say about this series?
Yeah, you can find me on like Twitter as long as it still exists, I guess, and Blue Sky at King Solomander. If you want to watch the occasional stream, it's YouTube and Twitch at SideQuest First, and then you can find my podcast, which is One Journey Pod. At One Journey Pod on Twitter, and you can find that though wherever you really get your podcasts. It's a nice one-piece watch along.
Oh, I love it. And then I also want to actually run a promo for the Anime Pulse podcast right now.
Have you ever watched a show where you're just like, dude, I need to watch something else just like that? That just blew my mind. Or you're stuck in a shonen rut and you're wanting to branch out to, I don't know, romance anime. On the Anime Pulse podcast, we review any type of anime, from shonen to romance to isekai, you name it. So come check out the Anime Pulse podcast on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts.
Props to Jordan for making the opening and ending theme, being a great co-host, and helping with editing.
Thank you for all the work that you do on this podcast, David. You do so much. I love you, baby.
I know I do. Fucking everything. Just kidding. Props to Merliel for the awesome cover art. Find her online at Lyle Murr, and Nigel for being our generous art benefactor. Thank you, Dylan, for assistance with editing. You can find his podcast, Anime Out of Context, at animeoutofcontext.com. Thanks to Tucker and MaxyBee for assistance with pronunciation, translation, our miscellaneous research, and a big thank you to Jan Cash as well for providing that additional translation details. Find us on Twitter at ShonenFlopcast, Tumblr Shonen-Flop, and our website ShonenFlop.com. We're also on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, wherever else you get your podcast. If you want more weekly David and Jordan content, you can find us every Friday on the Chainsaw Minute, where we talk about the latest chapter of Chainsaw Man. Find it at csm.libsyn.com or wherever else you listen to Shonen Flop. And if you still can't get enough of us, join the Shonen Flop Discord, open to everyone, patron or not. Hang out with us, talk about anime, games, whatever else is on your mind. We even have a manga book club. We're doing an extra special book club with Xander Cannon, who is a guest on our Monster Tamer Girls and our Patreon episode, Get a Robo Go. That's gonna be super cool. He's providing us copies of his book, so it'll be really fun to talk about him. And yeah, you can find a link to it in the show notes or on our site, shonenflop.com. And if you've been enjoying the podcast and want to help us keep going, subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/shonenflop. Along with that warm and fuzzy feeling of helping us out, you get access to monthly bonus episodes, including the Shonen Drop, where Jordan and I look back at the previous month's episode and open the mystery box. Jordan, what was our bonus episode this month, and what did we talk about in the mystery box?
Well, David, I finally made you read Get a Robo Go.
Yes, with Xander Cannon, as you said.
With Xander Cannon, as we just said. We're also ranking the first 25 pieces of art.
Yeah. And if that's not enough, other perks include picking a manga for us to cover in a main episode, episodes up to a week in advance, and behind-the-scenes content like warm-up audio, which this episode you really will want to hear it.
It's good.
Or our recording notes. I also want to read off some of our wonderful patrons. Starting from our Dolphin Dads, we have Glornak, Rachel, my wonderful wife. I was having a rough day, and she offered to buy me magic cards, which, you know, that's how you know she's a ride or die. And Sean, my womb is open. Okay. Moving on down to the Ravioli tier, where Ravioli really lived the risk was calculated, but bad am I bad at math, where Ravioli stole bread off a table, except she likes to eat it in her bed. So she ran over to the bed where Rachel and I were in the room Rachel and I were in to go eat it. And she just looks at us and she's like, ah, fuck, I didn't think this through, did I? And then we have Chris, Eva, Jeanette Davis, Lady T, Matt, Scarlett Mirrodin, T, Tiffany, and Trevor. Moving on down to the King of the Forest, we have 090Z, Bandit Stoof,
My girlfriend.
Brad, Chad, Ivan, Jacob, Justin, Currymon, Marty, Riley, Sarah, T. Wolfwood, and Tommy Boy. And a big thank you to our Galactic Ball Federation officers and our Beast Children.
Thank you. I love all of you very much.
And then Jordan, anything you want to toss in?
So listen to Mission Ignition and also like
Hire Jordan to make music.
hire me to make some music, please. I'm trying to get into the scoring for video games and stuff like that. So if you're an indie game dev especially, hit me up.
Yeah, it's exciting stuff. All right, and let's get in the sign off. Thank you so much for joining us. Tune in next Monday as we give our first thoughts on Dear Anemone. This has been David.
This has been Jordan. That's definitely not Dear Anemone.
No.
And this has been Solomon.
I'm going to pronounce it wrong in different ways every time during that episode.
That's okay.
And you've been listening to Shonen Flop.
You about floppers.
Yeah.